Welcome, everybody, boys and girls, people of the world. Thank you all for tuning in. This is the Chat Pack Podcast, where each week we gather around and talk about this, that, and the other thing. I am joined by my illustrious co-hosts here. I got one of them here, Caleb Cole.
Paul, I actually made it here today. I didn't.
You
delay
did make it here today.
Day.
Well, technically,
this was supposed to be recorded yesterday.
I was going to say you don't get to say like that. You're not like out of the woods. You know what I mean? You made it appear as if that.
Am I in the doghouse with you? Is that where our relationship is 100%, gone?
100%. I mean,
it's. Right. I'll accept that.
Yeah, you definitely were in the doghouse there.
You know what? I'll make it up to you guys by giving you some of the beer that we brew. That's the reason I missed yesterday, is because we were brewing a coffee beer, which now, as I'm saying that, Trevor will love and Paul hates. So I think that's perfect, honestly. I think that's there you go.
Exactly. That's how it works out. Speaking of Trevor Heim joining us, the man who makes the whole show happen. Trevor, you're a little pixelated on my end, but how you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm sorry that I'm pixelated. I'll try to clear that up for you.
I think that it's hard for the camera to capture all of the mustache.
That's true. Your facial hair has gone to that length. You look like you're in that one movie. I can't know. I don't know the name of it, but they're like I think a secret police force or something, and they're like
with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I think it's with Robert Downey Jr. You know what I'm talking about?
And the art style, Thunder? Like they filmed it.
No, not Tropic Thunder.
They filmed it for real, and then they added like a filter over top of it that made it look kind of animated.
Yeah, it's like an art. Yeah, it's like art.
It turned me off of the movie, to be honest. Like I didn't watch it because of that.
It's like a real Trevor Heim looking movie. Trevor, you look great on the stream though. So I'm. On Discord, I don't know what's up, but anyway,
just cut that part out, Trevor.
This is the Chat Pack Podcast, where each week we gather around and talk about this, that, and the other thing. Streamed live when we record the episode at twitch.tv/chat_pack. Plus some exciting stuff coming soon. I am returning to the great state of Ohio in roughly a little under 2 weeks, and Caleb and I are going to start working on some cool stuff. We're bringing sports back. That's basically what we're doing. We're bringing sports back to the Twitch channel, and we're gonna be playing some games and doing some stuff. It'll start off basic, but we hope to grow it as well. We're gonna start off probably some simple streams of stuff with a little extra spit polish, but then hopefully build into some. Hopefully build them up into something cool there soon. But we're gonna play a lot of fun games here real soon.
I wish Trevor was gonna be in Athens. Well, Trevor, just come to Athens. Quit your job.
Yeah, take a vacay. It's a perfect time to travel, right?
I am working remotely for the foreseeable future, so...
I mean, you could just come to Athens. Going through an airport might be a little odd right now.
They said that we for sure will not be returning to the office in June, and we might not return to the office in July either.
Man.
Now, Caleb, going to your point there, I would argue, do you think that airports are like, with how... much this is impacting them, that they probably are taking the cleanliness thing pretty seriously. You know what I mean? Like, you have to imagine at this stage, is traveling on an airplane less dangerous than traveling on a train? I guess it's that circulated air and stuff.
Kind of the same. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you've got air running through, and then you're also sitting next to a bunch of people.
Well, you'd imagine that you're not sitting next to people. You know what I mean? You'd imagine that on the flight that you'd be, social.
You hope that you wouldn't be sitting next to people, but
yeah.
But there's also so much air that if you're sitting, it doesn't matter if you're
right. You're breathing. You're breathing the same air as these people.
Yeah, and the 6 foot rule is it's really nominal. I'm not saying that we should make it smaller or bigger or anything, but it's just that's just kind of a number to give the layman an amount okay,
and it's just 6. A good solid and it's probably just a safe bet that it's just if you stay that far away
there's also the chance that if the person in the very front of the plane happens to have coronavirus or anything else, they you could easily get it from the very back of the plane. If somebody
just breathing it.
Well, I mean, imagine when you're walking out of the plane. It's if that first person, happened to, cough and it can linger, on a seat or something, and somebody disturbs it, and it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, but it's also, again, what we were talking about off stream, it's if you're going to Kroger and the person next to you could give it to you, even if you have, a cloth mask on, it's where do you draw the line in the sand to like acceptable or unacceptable travel.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. Because it's like I want to go visit my parents, but at the same time, it's like, not right now. But I'm thinking like end of the summer type of stuff. I might want to go down there or something. And I feel like at that point, maybe. I mean, it's just a comfort thing at that point. But anyway, people get enough of that.
People spend so much time gripping so hard to life. Sometimes you just got to roll the dice.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of rolling the dice, have you guys done anything cool? Played anything? Watched anything? Anything exciting in terms of cool stuff going on? Because last week we did trivia, so we didn't really dive into anything that we've been doing, anything we watched or anything like that.
I mean, the last 96 hours of my life has been building a climbing wall, basically.
Which is really fascinating, by the way. Are you documenting the process at all? I'd like to see at least pictures of it. I mean, not like for the sake.
His phone can't take pictures, Paul.
Yeah, it's actually a bummer. I have a camera, but it's also like
what? That sucks. That's awful.
I did get it working recently, actually. I think back that up a little bit. It just had too much like memory. It was full, and so I had to go through and like delete. I think I like deleted like a gig's worth of like pictures and like video attachments and bullshit, and then it still didn't work. And so then I deleted a bunch and restarted it, and now it works. But I also didn't want to like document it because one, this is my first time ever doing this, and there's so much content. I don't think it was important for me to like.
I didn't mean in terms of like something for this. Just yeah, for your purposes. Just like
I mean, I've taken pictures of like the frame, the frame and like the.
I mean, it would be cool to like make it would have been cool if you like. Did something, not like a how-to, just hey, I built a climbing wall in my basement type of thing. But like, yeah, those videos, it's like an interesting thing because it's like, you're like, oh, I'm interested in watching this person build a climbing wall, but in reality, I'm not interested in watching him build a climbing wall for 12 minutes.
It's like a 2-minute highlight video.
Now, on the flip side, I know for a fact that Trevor probably watches those videos in those type of veins, and he's probably like, I'm gonna pop a thing of popcorn, and we're gonna learn how to fine polish this, axle on this car,
lay concrete countertops.
Yeah, and Trevor's probably.
I will say for sure that I've never Google searched for a video about how to lay concrete countertops. That has not existed in my life up until this point.
I'm not gonna lie, that was something I did one time.
Now I'm kind of curious.
Trevor, it's cool. They polish them and it looks awesome.
This isn't the topic, Trevor, but it just randomly popped into my head. And is building a house like an ultimate goal for you? Is that something like, or do you just want to like own a house and then trick it out? Like you seem like the person that's like, no, I think I might want to do the buy a plot of land and like build it type of thing. I don't know.
Well, there's a couple of things with that. So first, I actually was shopping plots of land down in the middle of nowhere in Utah, and I was like, would this be? I found like it was like 2 or 3 acres for like $25,000 or like $40,000, and I was like, would this be worth it? Like, could I use it? Could I like rent it out? Like, what could I do with this? But I love the idea of like building. Maybe not building the whole house, but building like aspects of it or something like that. But on the
flip
like a
side, prefab type thing that like you get like the kind of you get the skeleton you can put all the meat in.
Yeah, like maybe that, or
they make kits,
or find like an older house that I could like rip the inside out of and kind of redo it or something. Like an older house I like the outside of, kind of a thing. But on the flip side of that, Amanda grew up in a house that was a like quote unquote fixer upper, and it was one of those fixer upper projects where it just never quite got fixed and never quite got to the up part. And so her whole
Trevor Heim would never let that happen though.
Well, so her whole like growing up life was just in a house that was like semi-finished. Like every aspect of it was semi-finished, and so she hates the idea of getting like a fixer-upper or getting something that we want to like build onto or build or fix. And I'm like, but that would be so cool. And she's just like, no, it'll never get finished. I'm like, I will finish it.
Oh yeah, I have complete faith in it.
That's what I'm saying. I could see it more. That's what I was saying after I asked the question. I see it more of you guys find an older house that like it has that old aesthetic that Amanda, that's where it's going to be the thing, because Amanda isn't going to want the fixer upper, but it's going to be this older style with these like big dope windows and like a good spot for all her like plants and all that stuff and like a yard. And then, dude, I could just see it. You would
heard
probably just be
our
so
conversations when we're walking our dogs.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like I literally just see it. It's just like you've already entered that phase where like you want a Saturday to start at 9 a.m. You want to hear the birds chirping, and you just want to put on the tool belt, and you're just saying, Amanda, the dogs have been walked. I'm fixing the house, and then just for literally like 3 months. It's just the whole summer. It's just boom, 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 boom projects.
Straight up though, a tool belt would be legit. Like this Trevor, whole time I've been building this wall. I'm always just like,
I'm surprised that's not
my tape measure.
I'm surprised that's not a step that you guys have taken. I feel like tool belts are something that people use.
I build in spurts though. Like I don't like, it's not something I do really often. But then like recently, like I built the bed platform. And I built something else, I can't even remember. But then now I'm building like this climbing wall. And so like, I guess I didn't really anticipate all of that. And so, and especially it's like, building stuff is expensive. Get that crappy dog out of the frame.
Dang.
Yuck. I can smell the skunk. That dog, even when she's clean, her natural musk is skunk.
She's fine.
Tell me I'm wrong.
She's been not that bad lately. Honestly, it's actually been she had a bit of a tough couple of weeks. She had some bad stomach problems, and then it got better. And then, but we found out the vet she got to get dewormed, so she got hookworms in her.
Ooh,
unfortunately.
So do you have to put on a big glove and reach up there?
No, I just had to spray some gunk in her mouth yesterday, and then I have to do it again in 2 weeks, and then I have to get another fecal sample.
Tight.
But it was nasty for a bit. She also stepped on glass. I like walked in. She was like,
okay, there's a lot of glass around.
Oh, dude, honestly, it's just inevitable. Like, it's terrible to say this. It's terrible to say this, but dude, there is just glass, and it's got to be a big city thing. But literally, dude, it's just like if you look hard enough at the ground, boots. Like you could just see glass. Like most of the times, it's like not bad, but like lately, there's just been some stuff that's been real bad.
You got to get her some of those little hiking shoes, those little dog hiking shoes.
Yeah, I meant to get her those over the winter, but then the winter didn't end up being as bad that I thought it was going to be, so I didn't spend the money on them.
Have you ever seen a dog wear those who like just isn't used to wearing them, and they flop their. I mean, they flail the front limbs. Like you put them on the front ones, and like it's so funny. It looks like they're constantly high-fiving the ground as they walk because they bring you all the way up and all the way down.
Right.
That was our dog.
But it's all good. She's good though. She's fine. Other than because like that was the thing. Like she was having the bad poops, but she was like still She's still eating. She was still
dumb. Still not aware of herself.
She's doing it. Honestly, though, one thing that we have found out, because the other thing, she's a little chunky, so I gotta stop feeding her so much.
We started schedule feeding Willie, not because of chunkiness, but because discipline. I think.
I figured this summer Willie and Dot could the fact that I was Willie and Dot should hang out all the time. Yeah, like we're not gonna let our two dogs fucking tire each other out. Nope. Anyway,
hey, we had a topic. We're 15 minutes in now, but we did have a topic.
I know. What's the problem with checking up on things?
I think we've checked up enough.
I had a pre-topic that I wanted to bring up, just a random thought.
So we have the 15-minute intro, a little pre-topic section.
This one's just could be a segment that's never going to exist, but this is just Paul's thought of the cast. Paul's thought cast today, and it's a simple one.
Are you trying to take over like my weekly suggestion?
No, this is completely different. You're suggesting something.
This is your shower thought?
This is just the thought of the day, and it's that Gushers are possibly a perfect thing. I don't think there's any like fruit snack or anything better than Gushers. They're delicious all the time. I think Gushers are a perfect thing. Like in terms of like a sure, there's some bad flavors of Gushers, but you're going to tell me a pack of tropical flavor Gushers is just not delicious. So that's it. That's all I wanted to bring up before we get into it.
Man, I'm really glad we took that moment.
I'm glad we covered that.
I'd be super bummed out.
I do have another topic that relates to the intro that I want to bring up to Caleb here.
I think we should make this episode 1, and all the other episodes we should just delete, and then every week we just have a Paul thought, just like that.
I think I might just make that a thing anyway. Maybe that's a great way to end the intro. We end with Paul's thought of the day. Yeah. Thought of the cast. Paul's
15 to 18 minutes in, you give me a thought.
Yeah, I give you a random thing, and then we move on to the topic. But Caleb, I do have to ask, because you were pretty adamant about this. You said it on like 4 episodes in a row. Did you sit Kelsey down and start Avatar?
Not yet, because it just hit the 15th, and what is
Caleb,
today?
It is the 21st.
We're already halfway through season 2 right now, Caleb. Why are you so behind on this?
Ben just finished book 1 last night.
It's so good.
He's flying through it.
And it is so good. The reason Kelsey was gone in Virginia, she was with her mom and brother, and she was gone, and then I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to surprise her by building a climbing wall. So she left, and like I had that thought, like literally, like I was like waving goodbye to her, and I was like, oh shit, I could do this now. And so I just like started buying the shit and started building, like just moving stuff around in my basement, and it was like a mad rush for like, I think she left Thursday night. Friday morning, I started right away, worked all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, with a lot of not the right tools. These tools are super expensive, and like for the first
and the tool
half
library
of it,
shut down too, right?
That's so devastating. Yes,
because it happened before all this too, right?
So, all right. So for people who don't know, like, there's not a lot of tool libraries across America. I think there's like literally 12.
Whoa.
Is what Ryu said. And so it's like you pay a certain fee for a year. For us, it was only $50, which is incredible. And they have basically every tool you could need and a workshop. And you can just go in and you check out a tool, and like they've got portable table saws and miter saws. I mean, literally everything you could possibly need. And it's all electric because, you know, I'm sure that there's like, it's a 2-stroke weed whacker and somebody pours regular gasoline in and blah, you know, that's just a pain. So it's just plug and play. But they closed down. So like, I think that they just didn't have enough people come in, or I don't know, like maybe they overspent because, you know, they kind of scaled up. They went from their old location where they were just keeping tools in, you know, those big storage containers that people would like build houses out of. They're like shipping containers. You know what I'm talking about. Paul, you look like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Paul looks like you saw
honestly,
a ghost.
I am not gonna lie. It was more so I was checking out something that I finally was curious about on Twitch here, and it's this chat pack power stuff, and it's these little points that you can get. And I realized Trevor has a emote for us, and it's fucking Ben's face. This is awesome. We have
Is it actually?
Yeah. And me. Look.
There you
wait,
go.
I'm locked. I have to sub to fucking get my face. That's
Paul,
That's
you are
awesome.
like a 7-year-old with your attention span.
I know. I was paying, but dude, you can't go to the.
He's like,
dude,
you were talking about building things, and I saw an emote that was my face.
I feel like if that doesn't sum up everything about just like us and especially the three of ours relationship, it's like you two like hands-on building fucking trucks and climbing walls and fucking.
When did we build a truck?
Trevor, built the inside of one.
Okay, I see.
My camping truck.
I'm over here, playing like 36 holes in Mario Golf Toadstool
having
Tour,
insightful thoughts about
talk
gushers.
about gushers.
Yeah. I thought you were still talking about
I
the
just
emotes.
I just walk my dog and that's about it. But I will say
I think
have
your
learned
dog
something.
walks you. So I don't know if
actually
you can
you'd be
include that
surprised because this also goes back into the dot thing. I knew I had something else I wanted to say about the dot thing. She actually is really good at pulling you on a skateboard. If you start going on a skateboard, she'll run, and it's actually super fun.
That sounds so dangerous.
Dude, I mean, I just go up and down our street, and like when there's no cars and stuff, she's really good. It's awesome.
She doesn't pull you way too fast?
I mean, I start cooking a little bit too fast for me, but I just hop off the skateboard because I've been trying to learn to skate, and I'm like close to the point where I could do like 3 ollies in a row. I'm getting these ollies. I'm buying a skateboard, man. I'm in. I'm done.
Dude, we
just
went
sinker.
the other night and bought a skateboard because, well, I have a skateboard that I've had for like ever, And I had a longboard and I left it at my parents' house, and now my sister uses it all the time. But Amanda recently was like, I want to learn to skateboard, and I don't know what spurred it, but she was just like, I want to learn to skateboard, so she was riding my skateboard, and then was like, I wish we had 2 skateboards so that we could ride them together. And so just the other night we went to actually that shop.
Like, I have a job.
Yeah, no. We went to that shop that we took you to, Caleb, that had like all the used snowboarding gear and stuff like that. They actually sell
where we saw Dylan.
Yeah, that was the craziest shit. No, but they actually sell used skateboarding stuff there. So we got like a pretty decent little cruiser board that was like pretty cheap, and now that's like Amanda's board. She like covered it with stickers and stuff, and we've been like just in the evenings going and like skateboarding around the neighborhood and stuff. But it's been kind of cool. I like haven't skateboarded since I was like in college probably.
Dude, I'm loving it. Honestly, it's like a really fun way to get some exercise in. Like Ian and Will they've been skating for years. Like all of my friends have like skateboarding and skiing, like those things, like they always were like those were their big things while I did, the football and baseball stuff. But like definitely like my best friends like skating and skiing were definitely
skateboarding. I think is so fucking cool, but I just hate road rash a lot more than I like skateboarding.
Dude, I haven't. I've slammed a couple of times now, and it's not been so bad. But dude, Caleb, but I'm down to the point where it's like I don't want to do a bunch of crazy stuff though. It's like I'm not gonna like go to a skate park and do a bunch of things. I literally have
You should ride with Jeff.
I'm hitting
dude.
to basically where I'm at. I have one more goal. There's one goal I want to achieve. It's a kickflip. That's it. It's the coolest looking thing, and there's only one thing I want to do because my buddies Gavin and Yanni, what's up, Faye, are really, really good at skateboarding. So the next time I'm, obviously it's not going to happen the next time I'm in Denver. I don't think I'll get it by the end of the summer, but I just want to roll up. First time I see him in, Gavin years, Yanni year, just throw down a kickflip. It'd be the coolest thing ever. They wouldn't believe it.
Honestly, I could see you like working up to it. You get to the point where you're kick flipping like basically 90% of the time where you try to do it.
Fail.
You try to go up for it and you break your wrist right away. You land the wrong way. And Yanni's just like, dude, have you ever tried that before? And you're like, no, I could do it. And he's like, come on, man. Like you clearly have never done that before.
Yeah, it's we'll see. But that's my goal. But anyway, we can get into the topic. That's enough. That's all I had to say. I wanted to catch up on everything, but anyway, you guys who came up with the topic? One of you guys came up with the topic this week.
I think Trevor kind of came up with it.
You can introduce it. So Trevor, your topic. Wait, but didn't you have a spin on it? Anyway, I'm going to let you guys take over from here. I'm just going to shut up.
Yeah, Paul, you get back there until we want to talk about gushers. Got it? Trevor, you had said something about, I think it was immortality, right? Like talking about that option. How did that start? Do you remember?
Well,
I remember adjusting it.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Boo!
Amanda and we were on a hike and we got to talking about reincarnation and like what the actual rules are of reincarnation. Because we were like, if you're reincarnated, like, do you know that you've been reincarnated, or do you not know, or do you bring with you some like knowledge, or do you not bring with you knowledge, or whatever? All this stuff. Like, would you be able to recognize other people that you knew in a past life? And we just got in this really deep conversation. And she said that she would never want to be immortal because it sounds terrible and it kind of takes away the meaning of life. And I personally think that it would be really cool to be immortal as long as you got to be immortal with other people who were also immortal. Like if I was just the only immortal person and I just had to watch my friends and family die like generation after generation, that would really start to suck. And I feel like life would really suck. So anyways, that was kind of my idea, is like what your guys' thoughts are. We could talk about like being immortal, or like if you reincarnated, like what would that be like? And like, would you bring with you knowledge from a past life and stuff like that? Like
I've
just kind of some cool stuff.
I think this is really topical. Paul, I see you trying to say something. We haven't gotten to the part about gushers yet, okay? We will, I promise. This is all leading up to the gushers.
They're best fruits.
Yeah, no, we'll get there.
Best fruits.
Shout out to Midnight Gospel, because that led me to Duncan Trussell's podcast, which is pretty amazing. If you guys haven't listened to it,
I've heard so many good things
about that
deep
shit.
Just before we dive in and let Caleb answer, you liked it? Mighty Night Gospel? Ended up liking it?
Me or Caleb?
You. I don't think Caleb watched it.
Dude, yes, loved it. Loved the crap
Excellent.
out of it. We've watched it now. I think we've watched most of the episodes at least 3 times now because we just like,
yeah,
we're just like, let's just throw it on again and just listen to some real crazy life shit, you know?
Yeah, I think I might go
Is
back
that the
to it.
one
Caleb,
made by
Immortality.
some of the creators of Rick and Morty?
No, Adventure Time guy.
Okay.
Pendleton Ward.
Adventure Time, HBO Max stuff coming like next
I think the spin that I'd put on what...
Also, the Snyder cut.
Dude, Trevor, that's a whole nother different thing.
So
we'll have to talk about that later.
The spin that I had set off of what you were talking about, Trevor, was something I heard. I can't remember exactly where I heard it, but it was like a would you rather. It was, would you rather die right now or live another 1,000 years? Because obviously, like those, and so in this scenario that I had talked about with some other people, was definitely like nobody else lives with you. It's just like you live like right now. You can live for another 1,000 years, and you'll for sure watch your parents, your siblings, your kids if you have any, their kids if you want to stay in touch. You know, like you'll watch everybody die, but you'll also get to live 1,000 years. And I mean, you would probably see some pretty gnarly, awesome shit. But you would also have to endure quite a bit of loss. But then the other option is you could just die right away, which I feel like this.
Wait.
Go ahead.
When you say die right away, do you mean like right this second, or do you mean like when I normally would have died? No.
You right that moment. Yeah. Would you die?
That one's an easy one for me, honestly. I feel like, and it kind of goes into, I guess, the immortality thing, and part of what Trevor said. No way, I don't want to die right now. I would take that. I would take that trade easily. I would on it because I would say, even though it would suck and like what you would have to do, this goes in with the immortality thing. I feel like you have enough time to just come to terms with it. Like I feel like you would just develop such an understanding and appreciation of the cycle of life that even though like you're not taking part of it, like why shy away from all these peoples and all these experiences that you can have? Whereas I feel like it just would be like the ultimate test of like who you like, your maturity or just like your understanding of just like how life is supposed to work for
your grasp
most
on the
people.
cycle and its meaning and why it's a cycle, not a line.
Yeah, because I would rather take 1,000 years and all that opportunity for all the best and greatest moments to happen, you know, mixed in with all of the hardship and the horror, you know, like you said, seeing every, you know, the generations of people that
I would definitely stop getting dogs.
Live and die.
I'm not going to just cycle through. I think that would be too much.
Because the thing is though, my question would be though for see in your in Caleb's case, it's a little bit more simple because
I hate my dog already.
It's the would you rather, and you have the like choice of it, you know, and it's like someone's telling you like you're either dead right now or you're living 1,000 years. So it's like, okay, I just committed to 1,000 years of life, and I know that I'm going to live 1,000 years.
But
so
I think this would be really.
You know, I wouldn't like what really would change. You know what I mean? Like for you, if you were to take that deal right now, I think I would just more be like, all right. I mean, I'd have to be more in terms with it. But I just think
we never got to the Gushers part yet. So I don't know what you're doing. Put in your 2 cents in here, but I'll let you keep going.
Imagine the amount of Gushers you can eat.
Oh, I see. No, I see.
Especially with the guarantee that you're alive for 1,000 years.
Hold on. How about this? 50 years from now, Gushers goes out of business. They stop completely. No competitors start for respect.
Honestly, I have 950 years to recreate the Gusher, and I think I can do that.
See, I think this question would be really...
Because think about it, I'm investing money for 50 years. So at that point, even if I just put this money and I don't touch, I start getting wealthy. You know, I might have to live a long time, you know, just paycheck to paycheck, but I eventually will amass a bunch of wealth. And then if Gushers do go out the wayside, then of course a significant portion of my wealth and resources will go to. And I don't want to rebrand it or anything. I want to bring the Gushers back. I wanted to, get my slice of the pie.
Moving on from the Gushers.
I want it down to the T. Literal clones is what we'll create.
This question can be further complicated in so many different ways, though. I like the one where it's like, you live 1,000 years, right? But you're an anomaly, and you either have to choose to, like, people will start getting suspicious when, you all of a sudden you're 125 years old and you look exactly the same, like, because in this first situation, I think that you live like, in your 25-year-old body or whatever until you get like really close towards the end. Another way that we complicated this was saying that you live, so let's say like that, 1,000 years is equivalent to 100 years, and 800 is equivalent to 80. So right now I'm 25. So I would live in this, I'm 24. So I'm 24, and I would live in this body until 240 years, and then every 10 years you would, every 10 years you would age 1 year. Yeah, so it's like when you turn 250, you would like look like you're 25, and so on and so forth. And so that means that from age 700 to 1,000, you would be 70 plus years old.
Hey, Paul, I heard we might be getting a new podcast host.
Yeah, it's a little website called Anchor.
Usually I'm pretty on top of these things, but what makes Anchor so great?
Well, I'll tell you, Trevor, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. They give you everything you need in one place, and their creation tools allow you to record and edit a great sounding podcast, whether you're on a phone or a computer. And best of all, it's free.
Now that sounds great and all, but what about distribution, Paul?
That's another great thing about Anchor. They take care of the distribution for you so you can be heard everywhere. They also help you easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership required.
Well, I'm sold. Should I switch Chat Pack over to Anchor?
We're already there, but if any of our listeners want to get started podcasting, they can download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right now.
But again, you have so long to train yourself. I mean, like I just feel like you. Well,
I've definitely seen some.
You see these cases of like older people who are like, you watch these random Facebook videos, and it's like, watch this 90-year-old dude deadlift 400 pounds.
I watched an 82-year-old man
like
climb a wall, and I was like, he's actually better than me. So.
Yeah, Trevor, I didn't mean to cut you off either, but I was just saying, like, I feel like again with it's not easy. I don't want to like make it a minimum. Like, I don't want to minimize the effort that it would take to like get to this level, but you have the time, and it's like if you have that understanding, then I think that's one thing. But it's like if you don't know that you're immortal, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where the real like question mark for me is, because if you just keep going on and on and on and on and on, and like eventually you'd probably figure it out, but like I think that would be way harder, like the mental battle you'd have to face to like get to the other side, to like, I don't know, I don't want to use enlightenment, but it kind of would be it the same way. Like if you were able to reach like complete peace with just being like, hey, I'm not going to like shy away from people. I'm going to have people come in and out of my life. I know that, versus like because I just feel like there would be
level of maturity.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, all of us understand that that's how it works now, but there would definitely be the really hard ones that would make it very hard. Like, especially once you've done it so long. But I feel like that's just a lot of time and a lot of opportunity to do a lot of really cool stuff.
I recently, so this immortality and like the expiration date of life has really, like, I've been thinking about a lot more, because I somewhat recently finished watching the show called The Good Place. I think I mentioned it to you guys a couple times when I was watching it. It's absolutely fucking phenomenal.
I've heard it's good.
Oh, it's so good. It's by the guy, Michael Schur, who actually plays Mose in The Office, Dwight's cousin, the farmer.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's actually the lead writer on the show, or the creator of the show, and I'm assuming lead writer. But I think that's kind of prompted me to think about this stuff a lot, and I think that it can even freak you out a little bit, because I know more recently, like, if you really just sit and process the thought that like you are going to die one day, we're going to get a little morbid here today on the Chat Pack podcast, but like if you if you really sit
Perfect
down
timing for it.
and think about it, like you have these moments where you're like, oh shit, like, because it's so far away, you know, like somebody says, oh, like we all got to die someday. And you think about it in, you know, fleeting, and you're just like, oh, it's like, yeah, but I'm 24. So it's like, I'm basically never going to die. You know, it's like you kind of push it away, but like, then you think about it and you see people who, you know, pass away, you know, 50, 60, 70 years old. It's just like, you know, you could kind of go whenever, and especially as a young man, you kind of think like you just have this infinite amount of time. It's like procrastinating a project for school. The paper's not due for a week. I know for me, like a lot of my education, I spent procrastinating because if it was just something I didn't want to do, I would just push it away and I'd get it done. Yeah. But like that, you know, if you live your life like that, it's pretty amazing how, because it's so long in our perception of things. Like I'm only, again, 24 years old, but it's like, man, my whole life is only 24 years. We're talking about living another 1,000 years. I'd really like to pose that question to somebody who's 75. You know, I know when I've watched both my grandparents two of my grandparents were dead before I was born, basically. And then two of them, you know, I watched die when I was in high school, and they were both like, they seemed like I was never really that troubled by it because they seemed ready. Like they wanted to go almost, especially my grandma after my grandpa died. Like both of them were like, like we're happy. We've lived a great life and like, we're tired, you know, like this is okay. Like I especially think when you retire and that community of retirees, I think, they kind of focused around like the perfect family life, like in the 70s, you know, like having like the perfect cookie cutter family. And they did a great job of that, my grandparents. But then when you retire as people like them, it's like, I know like they were always home. Like they really didn't do much for the last at least 15, 20 years of their life. I mean, which I personally, I never want that. You know, it's like, I want to be fit and able to, you know, I watch people at the climbing wall again. Like there's a dude who's like 68 who I see very regularly go. And Paul, this is gibberish to you, but Trevor, he's climbing 12 A's and 12 B's. And like, dude, that's insane. That is such a hard level of climbing.
There's this guy that I see at our gym that like, he climbs like easily like 2 levels harder than me, like maybe 11C, 11D, 12A. And he goes up the wall, and then he comes all the way back down the wall. Oh,
you showed me that guy.
With his, like, his belayer letting rope out so he can come back down. And I'm just, like, in awe of this guy.
He's
like
so strong.
I don't have the fitness to do that. And he's just, like, you know, 30 years older than me. And he's crushing it.
Probably more. I remember that guy. You pointed him out.
30,
and
40.
He's probably, like, 60s, right? Like, early 60s, late 50s?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's just...
Yeah. I mean, that's 30 years older than me.
Okay, math is not my strong suit, you know?
See, I think that it's an interesting point to bring that up, though, Caleb. Like, if you were posed that hypothetical when you were at a way later stage in life, I think your answer would flip for sure. But I'm just saying where I'm at right now, I want to get to that stage where your grandparents were to be like, yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like the human brain, if it's not changing, you know, do you get tired after 70 years? Or like, you know, because if nothing else is changing but your body, you know, like what happens if you make that decision to live for another 1,000 years and at 75, you're like, man, I'm just tired of this. And then you have another 925 years to go, you know?
See, but I feel like again, it would be hard. Like, I think you would take a lot of it, but I feel like with the time frame and again, I think the big difference is the idea of you knowing that you have the time on the clock versus not knowing that you have the time on the clock. Because I feel like if you don't know and you get to that point when you're older, you get to that point where you're tired and you're like, I just literally want to fucking die. Like, you know, or like, what is going on? Like, this is terrible. You know, what is like, I feel like you'd have that freak out way later on versus like, again, if you the Grim Reaper pops up or whatever, you know, the guy who's making the deal with you and he's like, you're either coming with me right now or you're staying here for 1,000 years. And if I'm, you know, still again here, but like, I still would take that, man. I mean, I get you would have to just go through a lot, but I feel like eventually you would get to like this mental state. You'd hope,
Well, and I'm just playing devil's advocate because
kind of
I know for me, boom, right away, I don't die right now. I live another 1,000 years. Like I know some people, I don't know. I guess I really love life in general, and like there's plenty of people who don't, like, and I can sympathize with those people, but I truly can't empathize. Like I've never been in that place. Thank goodness. Like I'm a very lucky person. But like I think of all the languages I could learn. Like I think of all the there are so many different cultures that and that's like my true passion at the core. Like I love playing music. I love rock climbing and being an outdoorsy person, but like my true passion is like cultures, and like that's why it's so important to me to live in a Latin American country like in this upcoming years. I'm hoping that that's what Kelsey and I end up going to do, just because it's a different way of seeing life, learning another language and being in another culture. Like it's even a different way of thought. Like the Spanish language is so much less personal than the English language. There's so much less I and mine and so much more like we and like the, it's, and you could
be, and you'd have to travel.
Oh yeah, you would no way you could live your whole 1,000 years
once because that would be really fascinating, because that's the thing, man. It's like once your generation, quote unquote, like that era of like the connections and the people and all that stuff, like once you've run that course, it's like, again, all right, I'm moving on to the next place.
Can you imagine what technology is going to look like in 800 years?
Exactly.
Holy shit.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah. See, Elon Musk is going to be immortal, and he's going to have brain chips that post to Twitter. It's going to be wild.
Right. We need more of that.
I mean, we also want the brain chips to stop Alzheimer's, so I guess there's some give and take.
Yeah. The real question would be, though, like keeping like your identity, like it would be like, would you get how long until the government's like,
yeah, see, I think that's an interesting one.
Style. That's like, would you start getting operated on or some shit? Like,
that's what I was gonna say is like,
and would you willingly let them, because that's the other thing. Would you let them study?
Not the government. Fuck them. But like somebody who is not a total,
some random mad scientist though.
Yeah, like, man, I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. You were talking about like basically if every 1 year now became like 10 years, and I could be 240 and be 24 and 250 and be 25, like I would definitely acquire one of those machines that prints out the IDs that they have like at the DMV, and I would just be like making identities and printing out shit. I'd maybe even print out passports and stuff. I'd be like a secret agent or something. I'd have 1,000 years to perfect being a secret agent.
A counterfeiter, I think, is actually what you were trying to.
A regular Creed Bratton.
Or I would get put in jail for life, and then that would kind of suck because I had to spend 1,000 years in jail.
See, because that's the other thing. You don't want to get. Yeah, you can't be getting thrown in jail. Like that would suck. Unless if you were like, you know what, I'm gonna do a little grand theft. I'm gonna steal something. I'm gonna get like 10 years. I'm just gonna go see what life is like on the inside.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like if this live 1,000 years, like, are you immortal? Like if you get shot, are you still gonna die? Are you gonna heal?
Yeah, because see, that's definitely. Because
if the Grim Reaper's saying you're staying, you're staying. Like he's the one who controls that.
And and if that's the case, I'm ripping motorcycles. I'm fucking doing backflips off of ski jumps. Like, because if I got that guarantee that I'm hanging around and I just got to recover, it's like,
whatever. I don't know. I think I already do the ballsy things. I think I would just do big wall climbing more. That's about it.
But at the same time, though, I wouldn't want to like screw myself over and then wouldn't be able to walk for the whole time.
I say Paul's gonna break every single bone in his body and not die. He's just gonna be stuck like that for 800 years.
He's gonna have crazy arthritis.
Just live in the ventilator for my whole life. The iron lung.
Oh man, for 1,000 years.
That's an interesting one, man. I don't think that. Oh, dude, we saw an iron lung at when Ben had his had like an art display and like an art show, his class. Oh, pardon me. I bored myself with my own story.
You're not talking about production, so how could you really pay attention?
Anyway, it was at the Museum of Surgical Sciences, so it had a bunch of artifacts of like surgery and stuff, which was very cool, but also very terrifying at the same time. That's just horror movie stuff.
Did you see any like lobotomy bullshit?
Oh yeah, like scalpels and like saws that they would use to cut open people's heads, and like hammers to crack the skulls and go ugh.
Scalpels.
It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was really cool. It was a lot. JT Bruno in the chat says Paul doing a backflip off a ski jump.
I mean, that's something.
It will never happen. Yeah. That's never going to happen. I don't have any.
I'd like to do a backflip on a snowboard one
spins
day.
And stuff. Dude, I have one of my buddies that I grew up with. He grew up the street from me, dude. This guy, he's just the definition of a kid that just goes out and does it. He'll go to the skate park and he shreds. He's so good on a skateboard, and he just goes up, backflips out of bowls while chugging a beer. Legitimately, like that's what he does. And he's like a plumber. He just goes and does plumbing things, and then he just goes to the skate park and just shreds, or goes and skis.
Just goes and does plumbing things.
Plumbing and shredding.
Are you talking about Mario?
Is this Mario Skate? Why haven't they made Mario Skate? Come on, Nintendo.
It was in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020.
That's not Mario Skate, a dedicated game.
Because I don't think that definitely would not have a big enough audience. They need to make Mario Baseball 3 before they do that.
Wouldn't have a big enough audience.
Speaking of skateboarding stuff, did you guys see the exciting skateboard video game news?
Yeah, Tony Hawk is getting remastered, bro.
Dude, it looks great. Pro Skater 1. It's hard to play Pro. Like I have Pro Skater on my N64, and it's hard to go back to. We didn't really figure it out. But I think we got it a little bit. But it's still fun. But it looks very.
I definitely want to live 1,000 years if I was Tony Hawk. Could you imagine how good he'd be?
You could get so good at scores.
Dude,
I mean, he's already pretty freaking good.
Speaking of people doing crazy things, I saw a video of Tony Hawk. I think he was like in the video, he was like 52 or something like that, or 55, and he landed a 900 still.
Oh yeah,
on that.
Yeah, he still shreds. He still shreds.
Come on.
I love all the stuff that happens on the internet when it's just like the screenshots, or just like his Twitter when it's just like him tweeting and it's just like him going through TSA and it's like, hey, you look like that really famous guy. And he's like, yeah, Tony Hawk. And he's like, yeah, exactly. And he's like, yeah, I am Tony Hawk. And then the guy's
whatever.
Like, nah, you're not Tony Hawk. Whatever.
His ID.
He's like, hands him his ID. It's like, oh. The one that's a little risque that I like is the one where it's like this GIF and it's like my face when I have to kill Tony Hawk during the race war, and it's like this guy like crying, and then Tony Hawk was like, "Thanks, I at least appreciate the hesitation." That's pretty good. It's funny. Tony Hawk's a good guy. Someone tweeted out today. They were like, if you polled like a bunch of people, Tony Hawk would probably be one of the rare instances of a person that would poll very high with like a huge amount of people. Like,
talk about across races.
Just a large, or just especially across the U.S. But like, if you were to be like,
well, who doesn't like Tony Hawk?
I would.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, like who doesn't? He's shred. He's cool. He like does. A bunch
I think
of cool
anybody
stuff.
who's like the maximum, like Tiger Woods, same thing. Like who the fuck doesn't like Tiger Woods? Like, well, he didn't cheat on his wife.
Some people don't like Tiger Woods because
I used to like LeBron James. I definitely don't like LeBron James anymore.
Why is that?
You're crazy.
What? Because
what's a crazy?
Because he pulled some bullshit with when the Beijing riots were happening, and he just came out like in full support of the Chinese government, and it's literally just because China makes so much money or pays so much money through the NBA that when you side with like a super oppressive government for money rather than like a people who are trying to free themselves from said government, bro, fuck that. That dude's an asshole.
I forgot that happened actually.
Yeah, understandably so. But on the flip side, you're going to completely neglect. All right, just completely neglect everything he's done for any community in the United States. Then we'll just take that and just
PR stunts.
Throw it out there. It's a PR stunt opening a school for a bunch of kids that didn't have the opportunity, and then all of the kids throughout the first year of the school absolutely crushed it.
Somebody like me going and spending $10. Like that dude has so much money.
But he's doing it all over, and he's giving back to way more communities. He's obviously misinformed when it comes to that thing, but no one's going to be perfect in that sense. I mean, to say that he's just an asshole is honestly just a pretty blatantly ignorant thing to completely
disagree.
Ignore the rest of it because of one thing, of a foreign policy thing that he doesn't understand.
I mean, like,
yeah, but at the same time, like, does that negate for him not having a complete grip and understanding of
like when you are
something
at
as
that
complex
level,
as foreign relations in China? Like, also when you have like, versus like, you know, I don't know, bringing opportunity to the youth of the country.
Jetpack is over the hill with episode 41, and we are arguing about politics now. Welcome to the fucking show, people.
yeah, we're
I'm
moving
just saying,
on.
you know, it happens. But it's good conversation to have.
Can I just say,
I think
we
politics
have all
like
these
sports.
billionaires and gazillionaires that like do all sorts of like, they have like charity works and foundations, and like LeBron opened a school and all of that. And I just love that Jeff Bezos doesn't even try to give a fuck about any of that. He's just like, fuck all of you. I have the most money and I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to make a public image or anything. Like, this is just this.
You don't get
like,
to be
I
the
just
richest person in
exist.
the world by giving it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that for sure.
It's just crazy to me. Anyways.
I don't know. Yeah, it's the complexities of the world, you know, and the world around us. But anyway, we are getting close to the end of the show. We're a little short though, so I don't know what else do we got going on. Actually, Trevor, let's completely switch gears from a highly intense political conversation to actually, you know, some would say this is also very controversial. Tell me what your thoughts about the Snyder Cut are.
About the Snyder Cut? Oh, man.
And Caleb, do you know at
have
all
no
what we're
idea
talking
what this
about when
is.
we mean the Snyder Cut? So Zack Snyder was the original director for the Justice League movie when DC was making all of their live action movies.
And he did Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
and
he did
Man of
Batman
Steel?
versus Superman.
Did he do Man of
No.
Steel?
Did he do? No, he might have.
I think
He might have.
so. I don't know. But he did a couple
Regardless.
of them. He did a couple of them. And then he did Justice League.
Yes. And then Justice League, he did a bunch of stuff, and then he was removed as the director, like in post production. So, like a lot of the movie had been made.
I actually think he
at that
stepped
point.
down because
Yeah, he stepped down because his daughter died.
Yeah, his daughter died.
Yeah, and then so Justice League came out, and it was utterly trash. It was an abysmal movie.
The movie was horrible.
And now because it's a bunch of hodgepodge stuff that doesn't make sense. But now everyone, HBO's big thing, and there was a big movement on the internet, #release the Snyder Cut, which had a lot of good intentions, and then there was a lot of like crappy people involved in it too. But classic internet scenario. But now HBO Max, as like one of their big things, is they are releasing the Snyder Cut version of Justice League
And
next year. But it's interesting though, because it's like, right, Trevor, it might be 4 hours, or it might be a 6-part miniseries, and they're putting $20 to $30 million
oh my gosh.
into just the Snyder Cut. Like, so I don't know what they're all gonna do with that $20 to $30 million. Like what all that means and what that money goes for. There's never really like they're just redoing a whole movie basically.
Well, I know there was a lot of stuff that like, I know there was a ton of stuff that Zack Snyder shot that didn't didn't make it to the final cut of the original cut, but I also know that there was a lot of like I think there was a whole like character arc that didn't even make it in, and they're gonna like CGI a bunch of stuff for that and all sorts of stuff. So I'm sure that they're blowing a bunch of money just like completing some of the like stuff that didn't really get completely, you know, made to the end. But part of me like I don't mind Zack Snyder. I think he's like a good director and everything, and like I love what he did with The Watchmen and all that, but like part of me kind of wants it to be even worse than the original Justice League, just so that all these people that have been like fighting so hard for this for like however long, I don't like, when did Justice League came out? Like 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, 2-3 years ago at this point, I think.
Like if the DC fans fought so hard for this for the last 2 years that HBO finally caved and is letting Zack Snyder make like his final version cut that he wants, and then it ends up being not any better than the original or even worse, that would just be like poetic. Like,
So
it'd be crazy.
Is he just
to me.
moving around like the clips?
Well, that's
Are they
honestly,
re-recording?
dude, that's the big question, because They did say they might be bringing people back to record additional dialogue, but like, I don't know if they're gonna reshoot anything. I don't know if they're doing like what that really, because it's crazy because it's not just it's not like his, because the whole thing with the Snyder cut for a long time is they were saying like this cut of the movie existed, like this movie version, like this version of Justice League existed, and they just wanted this version to be released. But that's not what's happening here with this HBO thing. They're pouring additional money into it and like, recording more stuff. So it's like, in reality, it's kind of like a re-release of a different movie in a sense too, because it's like $20 to $30 million. Like that's, what does that go towards?
Well,
because
did you watch like the live stream that they had the other day?
No, I didn't watch it.
Like I caught part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but Zack Snyder was saying that like basically, well, first off, he was saying that only like a fourth of his original stuff made it into like the theatrical cut that we saw. And so there's a ton of stuff that he supposedly worked on that didn't make it. And I think what you're saying about the Snyder cut existing was that he did have like a rough cut of the film that, it wasn't fully, the CGI wasn't fully done and, whatever stuff like that. But he had like a rough cut done that they showed to like, behind the scenes people or whatever early on in production. But then once he left and the new director stepped down, they kind of scrapped that whole thing and did like their own thing with it. But
they reshot a bunch of stuff after he left, didn't he?
Yeah, then the new director reshot a bunch of stuff. But I was watching some of that live stream, and in Zack Snyder's own words, he said that this will be an entirely new experience that'll be like separate from the theatrical Justice League. So I think they're kind of like, it's almost like when Disney bought Star Wars and they said all that other stuff's not canon anymore. I think DC is just being like, that Justice League's not canon anymore. We're going to go with this whole new experience.
Do you think that's what's going to happen though? Like, because they've made movies after the Justice League, it's going to be way more hard to
connect it in.
Not like, yeah, you know what I mean? Right. How do you connect that universe in the way that you've already built off of? And like, plus there was stuff like Suicide Squad that was supposed to have better tie-ins and stuff. So it's like, this seems like this is the alternate universe. This is the Dead Rising 2 off the record, not Dead Rising 2, the canonical sequel. That's the off-put, the entertaining one, the what if scenario where Frank West is the protagonist of Dead Rising 2 instead of Chuck Green. But it's just,
they're rebooting. Aren't they rebooting Suicide Squad? They're making like a brand new Suicide Squad.
They are doing that. That is true. And then with Guardians of the Galaxy, dude. He's doing that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then they've got
and because he didn't, after
Batman.
He got Guardians 3 back, he didn't. Yeah, and then there's that too. There's that. But the question is like, but what does that mean for Robert Pattinson's Batman? I mean, we have Ben Affleck, at least in this Justice League. Does this Justice League then end with Ben Affleck, retiring as Batman, or is Robert Pattinson's Batman? I believe isn't it going to be like the Joker? It's its own thing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be just its own story, kind of like the Joker. There's like rumors it could tie into the Joker somehow or something. But I have heard that this like Snyder cut would be the end to Ben Affleck's Batman story. But how funny would it be
Ben Affleck's,
if they just went and like recut it with like, and they just kind of superimposed Robert Pattinson in there? They just kind of stick his head
you guys
on Ben Affleck, and they're like, it's Pattinson now. We don't know.
Batfleck.
I don't know. I really liked Ben Affleck's Batman. I just hated Batman versus Superman, and I hated Justice League.
I mean, he did a fine Batman, but I didn't like the very murdery take on Batman that he took. But it was also like, if you look in the theme of Batman versus Superman, Batman's kind of lost it at that point. Like, he doesn't really have the code and the creed. That's why he's not really. Superman is his only real true enemy at that point, and anyone that's going to get in his way, like, he's taking him down. But I don't know. I'll watch it.
Speaking of which, we've been rewatching Avatar, right? And we got through like book 1, and I realize it's a show for kids essentially,
Still
but it's
awesome.
like it's a really good, really deep, like well done story.
Oh my god, the character
for a show
development, the
that's, like,
story.
dude, geared
Also,
towards
like the
kids.
amount of like kind of feminist plot lines is really like I guess I never realized that, but like it's like really really strong in that department, which is awesome.
There's a lot of really strong female characters throughout the whole, like book one. I mean,
Yeah,
they really don't hold back. I mean, most of the best characters and honestly,
my
when
favorite
you think
character
about it too,
in the
some
whole
of the,
show
they
is
introduced
Toph.
in the first season some of the best warriors.
And Toph is just awesome, and she's like, you know, a little on the outside like a meek little girl, and then she turns out to be like just a stupid powerhouse earthbender. It's like, sorry if you haven't seen it, it's super old.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I was gonna say maybe we
Spoilers.
should be careful with spoilers because it's having a resurgence nowadays
No.
with people. Because
I
I
was gonna
haven't, because
say,
Will
though-
hasn't seen it, and we were gonna watch it. We were gonna watch it all together, but I'm gonna hopefully get to my rewatch soon, like my personal one. Ben's been watching. I've been catching a few episodes, but I'm gonna watch myself here soon. Trevor, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, speaking of the Batman, you know, Batman doesn't kill people type thing. We've been watching Avatar, and we probably were like 3 or 4 episodes in, and then now we've like finished the first season, and I had this thought of, man, this is kind of like how in Pokemon, like the Pokemon are always like unconscious, like they never actually die.
They're not dead.
It's like every person that, like, you know, Aang comes up and fire blast shit whips this dude off this mountain and he goes shooting down into whatever. I'm like, that dude's fucking dead. There's no way that guy's not dead. But they're
Later
like,
in the episode, you just see him scratching his head.
There's the scene of them like shaking off the snow.
Yeah.
Like they're like in the snow and they're like shaking off and they're like,
Whoa, what the heck? That guy's so
And I was
powerful.
actually,
It's like, what?
I had that same thoughts too. But also special shout outs to the cabbage guy, the guy whose cabbage stand always gets busted. in
That's
that show.
fantastic.
Very-
It's a great
Anyway,
bit.
let's get ready to wind down the show here. What do you guys final thoughts, closing thoughts? Caleb, let's start with you. How do you want to close down the show on your end? What do you want the people out there to know?
I want people to know that while buying lumber for a climbing wall is surprisingly cheap, buying the climbing holds for the wall is shockingly expensive. Shocking.
Do you mean those are the
fake
rocks,
wall.
right? For
They're
the
the fake
layman's
rocks,
term,
yeah.
those are the rocks.
Yeah. They like you bolt in.
Why not just get some rocks, some real rocks, and then just drill some holes in them, and
People do that.
cut.
I mean, I guess you could, but you'd have to also drill holes in the rocks, which isn't exactly probably a simple process.
That sounds like a
without,
really simple
breaking the
process.
rock.
Drill rock. That's how science
You know,
works.
I'm,
That's
I'm
how
definitely
the
going to end up
tools work.
making a bunch of my
Caleb.
holds.
That's what I was gonna say. You actually can make your own holds like out of wood and stuff. and it's pretty
there's
fun.
like because obviously like we don't have a big fancy gym here in Ohio like Trevor does in Salt Lake City, Mr. Some of the best gyms in the world over there. But
They've been closed for like 3
that
months.
is a bummer. But so like we in like the little climbing gyms in my friend's garage and attic that I've gone to, you know, for the past couple of years, they've built most of their holds, or not most, but I'd say like probably 30% of them are like wood or PVC pipe. Like you can take the PVC pipe and you put like I think they make like these stickers that are like sandpaper, you know? And so that you can like put like sandpaper to like a block of wood and then like use that, but like instead you put it on like PVC pipe or wood, and so you have like a grippy surface, you know? Yeah.
Dang.
So yeah, that's how I want to
There you
end it. Is that if you're building your own climbing wall, don't forget to factor in how ridiculously, stupidly expensive rock climbing holds are.
Trevor?
My final thoughts are midway through the show, my dog started throwing a bouncy ball around and it made some crazy noises that some people might hear on the recorded stream. And I took the bouncy ball away from her and she went and found a fucking another one and started throwing it around too. And I don't know where all these bouncy balls are coming from in my house.
Wait, I almost
So,
forgot to give my
there you go.
suggestion for the week. This is my product suggestion. I can't remember what I gave last week. I think, was it the headphones? The Arctis Pro wireless?
I don't think you did.
No, I did it
done
last
anything
week.
in a long time.
That was the first time. I'm pretty sure.
On the
yeah.
trivia show.
Anyway, this week
Anyway.
it's definitely the 5-pointed screwdriver tip. Not the Phillips head, not the flat head, not the square head. I don't even know if anybody uses those. The 5-pointed star or whatever it is never strips out. I mean, it does, but like I haven't stripped. I built this whole wall and I haven't stripped a single drill bit.
Torque screws.
There we go.
I have a set of Torque screwdrivers.
Is that what they're called?
Torque?
It's like TORX. It's like a little star.
Oh, yeah.
bit.
Yeah, Torque screws. Those things are awesome. That's my suggestion of the week. Maybe you'll get one in another 3 weeks.
There we go. My closing thought is go get you a pack of gushers. Go get you a box
That
of tropical
sounds
fruit. Don't get the
suspiciously
ones
like
with the
a
strawberries.
suggestion.
They sell just tropical fruits. Go and get a box of gushers.
This episode
That's my
brought to you
closing thought.
by
But anyway,
Fruit Gushers.
thank you all so much for joining us here on another great episode of the Chat Pack Podcast. Caleb and I will refrain from yelling at each other about things
I
that
never got
you probably
heated.
don't
That
really
was
care
all
that
you.
much about. And
I'm putting all the blame on Paul.
you can follow us on Instagram now at Chatpack Live and on Twitter at Chatpack Live. You can also follow us right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/chat_pack. New episode posts every Monday on your streaming platform of choice. So go out and enjoy over 40 episodes of the Chatpack Podcast available for you to listen to on your streaming platform of choice. We'll be back with another great episode next week. And like I said at the beginning of the show, Caleb and I working on some things here real soon for you guys to check out. Some good classic video game action coming your way. It's probably like the 70th time I've promoted video game stuff on this show, and this time it'll actually come true. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for another wonderful show. And for all of you out there listening and watching, we will catch you on the flippity flip.